Welcome everyone to the Proven Knowledge Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Church. I'm a music producer from Northeast Ohio. I began this weekly interview series to give you different perspectives from artists, producers, engineers, and other individuals in the music industry. In each episode, we touch on not only what has helped the person succeed, but we also touch on what has shaped them into the person that they are today. I hope you're able to gain some real proven knowledge from the show, and that it helps elevate you on your own journey to success as well. Let's get into it. What's going on, guys? Welcome to episode 306 here on the Proven Knowledge Podcast. Today I welcome back another part 2 guest, Duhon. Duhon was originally on in 2023. He's an amazing artist out of Menifee, California. Obviously, I have a Menifee connection, being that was basically the place where my music career unofficially started. So I always thought it was very cool that he was from out that way. But I really enjoyed catching up with him today. He's been doing a lot of amazing things visually with a lot of the singles he's been releasing over the last year and a half. So we dove deep into that, really just about visual storytelling. That's kind of what this episode is all about. He talked about his sister and his girlfriend being big motivators and people who also kind of share the vision that he has and have kind of really helped him to execute on that vision for storytelling through the short visualizers he's done for social media to pair with his music. He talked about wanting to do that moving forward as well, and just the level of detail that you're going to hear him talk about in this episode is very inspiring. I think it goes to show that when you really lock in on what you want to do with that sort of thing, it can be not only fun, but it can be something that really elevates the music. And by following him on social media and seeing these visuals firsthand, I can tell you the quality is incredible, and it's safe to say he's going to continue to gain traction from them. He also talked about what is to come, continuing to do solo drops, mostly singles with a couple collab albums and other projects in the works, and really just what he wants to do, continuing to build that trajectory and build his brand moving forward. So it was very inspiring to see the growth that Duhon has been able to achieve over the last few years. It's always just great to catch up with him. He's a great guy and a great artist, and I hope you guys enjoy this one as always. So without further ado, let's get into it. So this is episode 306 of the podcast. It's I know it's crazy because the last time you were on here, I don't even know where it was. But Duhon, welcome back, man. How you doing?
Doing good, man. I'm blessed. Taking it one day at a time. Just enjoying breathing, man. Yeah. Because it's rough out here.
Yeah, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world for sure. It's good to kind of stay like locked in and focused creatively. And I like I said before we started recording, I've been dying to get you back on here because you've been up to a lot of different things. And the last time we talked, I looked up the episode air date was June of 2023. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, so almost 3 years since we did that first episode, which is wild. But we've kind of, stayed in touch here and there through like Instagram and social media and stuff.
Of course.
So I guess the first question would be, 3 years later, what have you been up to for the most part?
I mean, just honing the craft. I think taking those 3 years, it was definitely a learning curve for me. Because 3 years ago, social media was totally different from how it is now. Yeah. I think just when it comes to marketing, creating a story behind the music, I think it took me back too, because I had to learn okay, I'm going to drop music. I need, for me, just for my sake, I need there to be a story behind the music rather than me just blindly dropping music saying, oh, hey, this is out. So I'm sure you've noticed me just doing skits and just me trying to immerse the others into my world that I'm in. I think that's what I've been definitely doing in the past 3 years. A lot of writing for sure. I never stop writing. I think that's always something that keeps my creative going. Just networking too, just meeting new people, meeting new fans, meeting new artists, producers. The past 3 years have definitely been something of learning process for me, but I'm happy to be back into music, dropping the things that I've been working on. So I think that's always a blessing for me.
Yeah.
And man, yeah, just life in general. There's moments where I didn't feel motivated. I didn't feel up to even drop music. I think it was just having those certain moments in the battle between myself. And then I think also just the confidence as well. I think when it came to me doing social media, I didn't really show my face as much. I think I kind of sat behind the camera, which is something that obviously you can't really do nowadays. And I mean, even just posting on like TikTok and Instagram, it's all about like authenticity. I think when newer people, even the older fans, see who I am, they want to obviously see a face with the picture or even with the story that I'm telling, because it's like, okay, you can say a bunch of lyrics, you can do this, do that, but who are you as a person?
Yeah.
And how can we relate to you in a way where it's just genuine, rather than it being forced.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'd say those 3 years definitely taught me a lot for sure.
Yeah. I'd say that's kind of a good starting point with talking about doing the visuals, because I want to get into like how you do the visuals and how you've been doing them. But I guess I want to start with that confidence that you just talked about, the self-confidence of being able to like get in front of a camera and have it make sense for you and be comfortable doing it. Where do you think that came from? Because I think for everybody it's different. I remember for me when I first started even doing like behind the beat videos and things like that on my YouTube, it was tough for me to be able to do it, but I felt like with repetition it became a lot easier. So has it been similar for you, and what other ways have you found to get comfortable with doing it?
I mean, for one, it was definitely, I mean, like I said, just with the storytelling, I think I had to. I think it wasn't really a choice, and I think for me, doing what I do visually, it's always something. I don't know. I treat it more as fun rather than it being work. And I think that's one thing that people really need to realize when doing that kind of stuff, because it can get repetitive. It can get frustrating when you don't have the right shot, or it can get annoying when the sun's down and you're trying to shoot in the morning, and you have work. So things kind of conflict within. But I think if you really are passionate about something, you'll make time for it. And I think that's something that when it came to me doing visuals, I had to understand that no, I don't have the best equipment. No, I don't have a studio setup that I can just walk into, take professional photos. So I think utilizing my resources was one big thing when it came to doing visuals. I mean, you've been to Menifee before, so it's a lot of open land. It's a lot of just beautiful scenery, to be honest with you. And I think that's something that I wanted to portray as I started to continue doing music. I think at first when I would say my first visual was when I did Money Galore, which was last year. And I kind of just emulated the whole basketball scene. So I think for me, it's about my interests and also what I feel the song kind of portrays. I think with my newest release, Frames, it was definitely it's more of a relaxing but also intense, like boom bap type of beat. But I think visually looking at the song compared to my just me being out in the open, I think that was like my perfect like moment in per se. And I know you've noticed like me going from my afro to my braids, back to my afro, back to my braids. It's more of like out with the old Duhon and with the new Duhon kind of thing. So that's what I've been kind of portraying when it comes to my visuals. And I think that's what makes it fun for me, just because I'm able to be like, okay, like new songs dropping. How are we going to do this? And my thing is I'm trying to build a world called middle class complacency. And essentially what that portrays is just, being stuck in the middle. I feel like as a middle class citizen, you don't really get the praise of being high class, but you also kind of get you don't really understand what it's like to be in poverty, you know, but at the same time, you've experienced it and you've dealt with situations like that, you know? So I feel like for me, I'm just trying to portray the middle-class citizen living in a society where it's like, yeah, I can see the best of both worlds, but I'm still stuck here, you know? Like, I'm still trying to reach the upper echelon, you know? And that takes time, you know? And I think for me, with my visuals as well, I don't know if you've noticed, but when it is me and my afro now, I'm inside, kind of portraying that, like, old Duhon is trapped inside of here, but when it comes to me being outside, that's the new Duhon trying to express himself, you know, trying to be more confident in himself, letting others know, like, hey, I'm here, like, I'm not here to joke around, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's, like I said, that's what makes it fun, you know, just because it's the creative process, and it can be daunting at some points, you know, it can be, there's sometimes I get anxious because, I don't know, so there's a lot of times I'm just filming by myself.
Yeah.
Like, I'll have my girlfriend sometimes help me film, and I'll have, like, one of the homies help me film every once in a while, but 95% of the time, it's just me in front of the camera just doing what I want to naturally do.
Yeah.
You know, and it can be nerve-wracking, you know, people drive by or staring at you, and it's I don't know, it gets weird for me, but I have to understand, like, a lot of people don't really care. They just want to usually just see what you're doing, and then from there, it's kind of like, okay, I'm out, you know? And I think that's what helps me understand the creative process when it comes to filming myself, because I've had moments where, I mean, for an example, when I was recording Ether, it was in a parking garage, and there was a skateboarder just skating around. And he was like, am I bothering you guys? And we're like, no, like, you're completely good. Like, you do your thing, like, we'll do ours. Yeah. And so he, like, those interactions were super cool. And he even ended up, like, coming up to us and be like, oh, you do music? Like, what's your name? Like, what kind of music do you do? You know? So it's like, it's kind of like, I want to say bittersweet, but it's very, like, within the moment, I should say. Like, you don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. You know? And I think that's also the beauty of even making music, you know? Like, you'll have moments where you're feeling stuck and you're just like, like, I don't want to force anything out, but there's some points where it just clicks and you're like, oh, like the flow state, as everybody says, you know, you just keep getting in that mode and that mode and that mode. And I think that's the same thing with filming too. It's like, the more you realize that, oh, okay, like, this is fairly simple, you can do a lot of other things, you know? So I think that's something that I've definitely portrayed. And I think another thing too is my sister, she's a film director. So it comes to the point sometimes where I'm just like, hey, I need your help with this, or hey, can you help me, like, figure out this skit, or hey, how does this skit go? You know, like, how do you feel about it? And she does the same thing to me when it comes to her films. Like, she'll ask for my critique, and likewise, I'll ask for her critique, you know? So it's always cool, especially having those people around you. Even my girlfriend, man, like, I'll chop it up and we'll talk about just things that I want to do as far as, like, the next step of music or just what I want to do visually. And, like, she'll even have her own ideas that she spews out. So definitely kudos to her, because I know she's a creative just like me. So it's always a blessing to have a team around you that knows what you're capable of and also supports you genuinely, rather than it being just like a transactional type of relationship, you know?
That's awesome. And that's almost like extra motivation too, in a big way, which can always help. But I love what you said toward the beginning about just having fun with it, because once you make it fun, it really does come a lot more naturally.
Very much so.
And I think there's a level of intimidation that comes with trying to, I guess, learn it, but also stay consistent with it too. And that's where I think a lot of people, even if they try it, they might not stick with it. So I think for you, everything you just described is ways that you've been able to just make it a part of your daily routine of promoting the music and trying to get it out there in a different way. And I gotta say, again, I don't know if you're just using the phone every time or what else you're using, but I think it looks great, man. Like, the quality is there.
So it's funny because my sister bought me a camera maybe I don't want to say 6-7 years ago, because I know how the whole maybe I'd say about 6 to 8 years ago.
Yeah.
She got me a camera, and I would just keep it in my room. Like, I wouldn't touch it. I wouldn't use it. There's probably one or two times I might have used it, and that was like on a trip to New York. But I would just leave it on the side.
Yeah.
And I remember one day she was like, it was for my birthday, actually. She was like, look, I'm going to buy you this equipment, but I need you to use it. Yeah. Like, I can't have you just BSing and saying like, oh, I need this, you know? So for her to actually give me extra, like, for example, she gave me this filter lens, and I swear that's probably the best thing that she's gotten me besides the camera.
Yeah.
But literally, when it comes to like just my outside shots, like, it makes the whole thing behind me look so crisp. And like, once I saw that, I was like, oh yeah, my videos are definitely going to be way more quality based, just because of that little lens alone.
Yeah. So
I definitely got to give thanks to her, because without her, I wouldn't even have a camera to begin with. And obviously I'd have to rely on other people. And I think that's another thing too, just like trying to rely on other people can be very draining sometimes, just because it's like your creative process might not be the same as their creative process. And I've always had the notion of no one's going to take care of you but you, you know? And it's like, no one's going to take care of you in the ways that you want to be taken care of, you know?
Yeah.
So that's one thing I've always had to learn too. It's like, if you're going to do it, figure out how to do it yourself. If people see the vision and they see what you're doing, then at that point, that's when the network begins, and that's when you're able to just connect with other people that can, you know, take it a step higher rather than keeping you at the surface level that you're at.
Yeah.
So
wanted to take a quick minute out of today's episode to let you guys know of a way that you can support the show, a way that you can donate some funds to us, starting at as little as $5 or more via our Ko-fi page. Now, we've been using Ko-fi now for a few years, and it's been a very effective way to generate some funds that we end up using for, you know, future guests, sponsors, just an overall way to keep this show as quality as it has been for the last several years, and we always appreciate any and all contributions. So if you go to coffee.com/The Proven Knowledge Podcast, that's KO-FI.com/The Proven Knowledge Podcast, you can donate, like I said, $5 or more. You know, it gives you that option to do 10, 20, 30, or just type in whatever amount. Any contributions are appreciated, and, you know, I do this show from the bottom of my heart for the love of it at the end of the day, but those funds are always welcome, because they do allow us to do more and be more flexible with how we continue to grow this platform in the future. So I just wanted to let you guys know about that. The link will be in the description of the show notes of this episode you're listening to now, so definitely check it out. But without further ado, let's get back into the episode. And I think that too can be kind of paired with having the right people around you too, because I think sometimes it's like you're trying to work with certain people, and it might not be that they're like necessarily a bad collaborator. It's just they might not be right for that instance and for that moment of what you're trying to do. So it's great to hear that you have the right people around you as well, kind of be there and help see that vision through in a way. And like I said, man, the quality, like, I can tell the quality is there. That's what has stood out to me so much in the last year and a half. So that's definitely awesome. And I know you've dropped a handful of songs to go with these visuals as well. You've dropped 3 so far this year. I think you dropped 3 or 4 last year as well in total.
Yeah. I want to say 2, if I'm not mistaken. 2? I think.
Okay,
yeah.
So tell me about some of these songs. And another question I have that kind of goes with it is, are you strategically dropping singles so that way you can pair the visuals with the song itself and kind of just keep that rolling moving forward?
Kind of. So I'll start with the first question. And the first question essentially was just like, am I strategically using, what was it again? I'm so sorry. It was
Basically, like, for these visuals, obviously each one is
yes.
for a specific song. So has the game plan been to drop a song, pair it with a visual, and then do that again, repeat that process essentially?
Yes,
Yeah.
I think when it first started with Money Galore, I think I realized, like, hearing music marketers and hearing people that really do TikTok for a living, it kind of helped me balance the two, because I know when it comes to influencer marketing, it's a little different from music marketing, but they kind of go hand in hand. Um, but I think for me, I was learning about like just I guess the compound method,
Yeah.
like, and on top of that, just trying to learn like different angles of the same exact shot, just in different forms, and I think that's also helped me too, is like just learning the aspects of that, and then obviously transitioning it into the music. I definitely strategically pair my videos with my music when it comes to my singles. I think being gone for 3 years, it's not, for me, I don't think it would be logical to just drop an album,
Yeah.
or drop an EP, because it's like, well, we haven't seen you in so long, so why are you just all of a sudden just dropping something where I don't even think they're going to listen to every single song. So for me, it's, and this is a part of my middle class complacency. Like, so with Money Galore was the first one, Money is the Motive, and then it went to Ether, and then it went to, oof, geez, I'm stumbling on my own songs. I'm trying to remember. I don't think it was. I want to say I'm trying to remember my first song, because I know I dropped in January. Um, geez, I'm drawing a blank. but yeah, no, just with Ether, with Frames, it's something that's all tied in.
Yeah.
Like, I've learned that if I'm gonna do an EP, or if I'm gonna do an album, um, why not just drop it as a single, and kind of just continue the story from there. So for me, it's very, and even like Sorry Summer, like all the way back, like I treated it like a journal. So for me, doing the middle class complacency is very much like a chapter book, so like each chapter kind of portrays where I'm at in life, how I'm feeling, and just, even with like the specific do-rags that I wear, like throughout each process, like Ether was black, Frames is blue, so you're gonna start seeing the colors kind of transition more into like a brighter tone. um and I have a song that I'm gonna drop when I get back from vacation, but it's called Find My Way, and essentially it ties in with Frames. So for example, the visuals are essentially going to be kind of catered to how Frames is, with me being outside, but Find My Way is going to be more so of like a pathway.
Yeah.
Like, if I go this way, it's, who knows what it's going to be, but if I go this way, this might be the best route for me. So for me, like I said, I love building stories, and I love creating that, just that mindset of people like being invested, because it's like, at that point, what am I selling? I'm
Yeah.
just selling a bunch of words. And so I think with my branding, with my appearance and stuff like that, I try not to get too into it, because although I am independent, I'm not signed to a record label, I don't have all the resources, but I do my best to try to keep the story very linear, as far as just being consistent, and I think, I don't know if you saw in my Instagram when I did a skit where it was old Duhon looking at new Duhon from a distance, and new Duhon ends up kidnapping the old Duhon.
Yeah. I do remember
Like,
that.
and like throws him in the trunk, and it's just like, yo, like this is the new wave. So I think stuff like that always excites me, because it kind of, if you were to go all the way down to like the beginning of that, that's the lore.
Yeah.
That's the beginning of the new process. So
Yeah.
I think that's what I love about me posting my stuff consistently, because I feel as though for new fans who are trying to invest in who I am, I think it gives them some backstory of like, oh, okay, like he's been gone for a while, he's been trying to figure things out, and now we're finally seeing him back in the limelight, just trying to do his own thing. So I don't know. I've always been a very cinematic person, and I've always, even with like video games too. Like I'm the type of person that if there's no story mode in a video game, like I don't like playing it. Like that's just how I am, you know. And for me, it's I love taking certain clips of video games and kind of portraying it into my music. Like for example, when we did the kidnapping Duhon, there's a specific scene in The Walking Dead, and it's the Telltale series, where Clementine is walking literally by herself. And as she's walking by herself, she sees two silhouettes in the distance. So that's essentially what I was trying to portray when I was doing it. Because I told my sister, I was like, hey, I got this idea. Like, I want you to help me film it. Like, let me know what you think. And so she was like, oh, this is dope. Like, this is like a great story. This one, it helps her become creative, and it helps me become creative too. So, like I said, there's just like certain little things that I see in video games where I'm just like, okay, I want to do that. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna figure it out. You know. So that's one big inspiration when it comes to like me doing the skits specifically. But as far as the content goes, that's when I obviously take my time, listen to the music, and try to portray the music visually rather than it being so auditory, if that makes sense.
And that's how I know that what you said earlier is true, that you are just having fun with it. You know what I mean? You're just seeing what works and going with it. And I gotta say I respect the level of detail that you have with it, because I can tell everything is like mapped out. Like I don't know if you're doing storyboards for this stuff, like getting that in depth, but it seems like you got like a level of detail that's just on another level. So that's incredible, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, congrats on that. And again, it shows visually, because like the visuals do stand out, and I've seen that quality go up over the last few years. So it's been very exciting to watch. It's going to be very exciting to see where it goes from here. And I guess that leads into, what are you looking to do for the rest of 2026? We're about, a quarter of the way into the year at this point. So what is the plan for you as far as what is next? New music, new visuals, anything else that you got going on?
Yeah, so my goal was to obviously drop a song every month. I think me going on vacation, I don't blame myself for going on vacation. I'm not going to beat myself up for not dropping a song 1 month. Yeah. But for me, if I don't drop a song, then it's something for me to obviously come back and give you guys extra. So I am working on an EP with one of my good homies. His name is Lee Rad. We've done 2 tracks together. So we did Pay It Back and we did The Cure. And it's funny because we just randomly met on TikTok. Like, he reached out. He was like, yo, you're dope. Like, if you ever want to get on music, let me know. Here's my number. And on top of that, he even reached out to his producer, Reasonable, and he's such a dope producer. They both reached out, and they were like, yo, like, we need a collab. Like, we have, like, no ifs, ands, or buts. Like, here's some beats. He's working on this. If you want to hop on any of his stuff, let me know. Like, we can work something out. And so as that relationship was building, it got to the point where we were just sending each other songs back and forth, like, hey, can you feature on this? Hey, do you want to feature on this? And it got to the point where we were like, why don't we just do an EP? So right now we're in the process of trying to create that. We got a couple songs that we are working on at the moment. I think when it comes to us working, we're very, I'd say we're very like methodical when it comes to like trying to figure out what the EP is going to be about, how the EP is going to flow. But we already have a title for it. It's called Greatness Over Destruction. And it's obviously acronym is God. So essentially what the whole gist of the EP is it's just 2 black men just having real conversations with themselves. Because I think And I'm not trying to say this is how society is, but it gets to a point where men can't really talk to other men about like what's going on in their lives, you know, like the addictions that they've had, you know, the just the realness, you know, of the real world, you know, just facing things as a human being in general, you know. So I feel as though when it comes to us speaking about those things, it's definitely going to be portrayed into the music as well. And we're also going to be trying to do skits like throughout. I think one thing that I was inspired by is the Incredible True Story by Logic. Um, that's probably one of my top 5, top 10 favorite albums of all time.
Yeah.
And one thing that I enjoyed about it was the skits. Like each song had dialogue after, you know, and it was to the point where it was like, it almost felt like you were in the room with them, or like you were in the spaceship with them, just talking, you know, like laughing at the jokes that they made, or even just like going into like their, like when they go into like super deep conversations, you're just like, oh shit, like this is way bigger than what they're trying to, you know, portray just musically, you know. So I've always taken pride in that, and obviously you've seen it. So I've told him, I was like, hey, we should definitely like figure it out in this way. But I also told him too, I was like, I don't want to be the individual that takes away your creative process. So if anything, I would like to meet in the middle. And luckily he was down for just the how everything was gonna go. So we just been working on that, man. We've been trying to just connect with each other each day, just saying, hey, I wrote this. I'm gonna record it this week, send it to you. Let me know what you think. So yeah, we're gonna be working on an EP together. I'm definitely still gonna be dropping my own music and my own visuals as well. Then what else? I want to try to get some performances back out there because I know I definitely did some, and it was such a great experience. You know, nerve-wracking, but I try to treat it as excitement rather than nervousness, because I feel like the more I get nervous, the more it's gonna show.
Yeah.
You know, within, you know, and that's when the confidence starts lowering. You know, and it's just like, for me, the way my music is, it's dubbed as very confident in my own voice, you know. And I've heard a bunch of people, like reviewers, just even like my friends and family, just listen to the songs and they're just like, we know that you take your pride into the music just because of the way you sound through your music. And I'm a very picky individual when it comes to making or just having certain beats as far as how I write and how I make my music. And that's something that, you know, as I got older, I realized that it's okay to tell people no, you know, rather than it being like, oh, okay, yeah, let me use your beat. Let me use your beat. Let me use your beat. I think for me, it's almost like when I do listen to beats, I have like a team in my head. It's like, like, let's see if they have another one. Let's see if they have a different one. See if they have a different one. And for me, I never knock down, like, I never try to burn a bridge, like, with any producers that reach out to me. Because, one, for you to even have the confidence to reach out and be like, yo, listen to my beats, let me know what you think. I'm always transparent with individuals. So I feel like honesty is the best teacher. And I don't knock people down. You know, I'm the type of person that says, hey, like, I'm not rocking with any of these beats, but that doesn't mean we don't ever get an opportunity to work together.
Yeah.
Because at that point, I'm not trying to lower anybody's motivation, you know, because at that point, it's like, because I felt the same way sometimes. I mean, when I first started doing music, a lot of people were like, yeah, it's okay. Like, it's not the greatest, but it's not the worst, you know. But as I got older, as I started to understand, like, my music and how I want it to be, and how authentic it's starting to get, I think that's what people love more than it just being, oh, he's trying to hop on the trend, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what I'd say I'm working on right now. I've been trying to get into more, like, festivals type of thing. For example, I applied to the LA County Fair. So hopefully I can get a go on that. hopefully I can get a slot to where I'm able to perform at a specific time. But yeah, no, I mean, I just know if the consistency's still there, something's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Something's gonna pop up. Someone's gonna understand the music and be like, "Oh, this is dope. Like, let me reach out to him."
Yeah.
And it's actually pretty cool. I've had people who are at a higher stature reach out to me and just are like, "Yo, this is dope. Like, I respect what you're doing. Keep going." And obviously it comes with, if you ever want me to feature on your song, it can be a business. It's a business, so there's obviously money's gonna have to come out of pocket with those certain things. But just the fact that I'm getting recognized by them, just shows like, oh, okay, like I can do this.
Yeah.
Like it's very doable, and it's just consistency. Like that's like probably my main thing. And even when I talk to my sister too, because she's starting to get back into posting stuff more, and she's starting to get confident in doing her own thing. And I just tell her consistency, because like without it, it's gonna leave you. It's gonna leave you behind, And people don't wait. If it's like, you know what I mean. So it's like it gets to a point where if you're behind, no one's really gonna pay attention to what you're doing.
Yeah.
And you see it firsthand, like you get praise from people saying, keep doing what you're doing, keep working on what you're working on. And it shows, it shows within the music, it shows within the visuals, it shows within just your authenticity, reaching, like commenting on other people's posts and people commenting on your stuff and you replying back to them. Like that's what people love. Like they love the interaction, and that's something that I've had to learn over the years. Just like when people do say, oh, this song's dope or this song's fire, like don't be afraid to just like tell them thank you.
Yeah.
Just like show your appreciation for them to even like take the time, because we live in a world where attention spans are 7 seconds. So it's like the fact that you stayed for even longer than 7 seconds shows that you genuinely support the music and you want me to see what else that I can do rather than just this song. So I would say that's mainly what I'm working on. As far as anything else, I mean, I'm not sure. I just think those are my two main focuses. Actually, no, I did make a goal to make house music. So that's something that I'm still trying to work on. It's because I have an MPC, so I'm starting to learn how to make beats here and there. But I think I get into the mode of like, oh, I'm a writer. Like I don't want to. I just want to find people that can supply me those beats. Yeah. But I feel like being in music so much and listening to so much music, like I have that ear to make that kind of music. So for me, it can be a struggle. It can be a struggle because I've never made a beat in my life, and me starting this year, it was like, so far I say I have only like 4 beats, but they're all unfinished, and I'm not mad at that. I think it's just a matter of creatively putting your mind into it and not stopping.
Yeah.
So that's one of my goals. I do want to drop that album next year. But I want to have a self-produced house project by myself.
Yeah.
So that's one goal of mine. So hopefully within the next year, you guys see something where it's like, oh, he's definitely going on another stratosphere of music and taking his time to, enjoy the house music, the funk music that I'm trying to create.
Yeah. And it's just like anything else, like we talked about earlier. You got to start somewhere and then kind of build it up from there. So I'm glad that you're getting started on a new endeavor, and that sounds very exciting, man. And just I want to say congrats on everything else too, everything you got coming and everything that you've been doing, because
Thank you.
I think that work ethic and the consistency that you talked about, that is really what gets it done. And that can even like reach over any level of talent, because we see a lot of people that might not be the most talented that are getting that traction based on the consistency and showing up and doing those things. And I think for you, you have both. You're super talented at music, and you're also doing it consistently on the social media side, on the promotion side. So to me, that's the best of both worlds, and you're only going to see it go up from there. which is super awesome, man. And do you have any final words of wisdom that you want to leave people with today before we get out of here?
Keep your head up. You know, there's moments where you're gonna hear other people's opinions. There's moments where you're gonna get down on your own self because we're our biggest critics. But just always keep your head up. Always thank God for breathing because it could get taken away just like that. You know, be mentally strong because nowadays with everything going on, you know, it's a mental game. You know, I think it's definitely with the things that we're seeing, it's like, are you gonna break or are you gonna push through? You know, so I think that's some words of wisdom. Another thing I would say is, I mean, drink water because it is, man, water definitely helps with a lot of things, in my opinion. And just stay positive. You know, stay positive because it's easy to get negative, you know, especially with everything that's going on in people's day-to-day lives, you know. Try not to let the small things become big things.
Yeah.
But yeah, that'd probably be my wisdom, in my opinion. Other than that, just stay blessed, you know. Just be happy.
100%, man. It's very important to be able to do that, especially with how the world is, like you said, how crazy things are. But I think being able to stay creative and stay locked in on what you're doing is a huge part of it as well.
Yes.
So I gotta say again, man, you know, congrats on everything that you're doing. I'm excited to see where it goes from here. And I know we're going to stay connected because we've been staying connected here and there.
Of course.
And we'll have to have more conversations like this in the future as well. And you're always welcome back here anytime, man. So thanks again for stopping by, bro.
Thank you, guys.
Just want to say thank you for tuning in today. Be sure to hit that coffee link in the description of this episode if you'd like to donate any funds. And we'll see you back here with another new episode next week. As always, thank you for your support.